Hey, good morning, guys. This is Jose Trujillo, world's greatest living artist, coming to you here from the car studio. This is, what's today? Is today Thursday? Wednesday? I have no idea what today is. Today's a day. I know that for sure. It's a day. Today's a day. Good thing is that we're here. That's the good thing. Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about this morning. I want to talk to you about something that I think that hardly ever gets talked about. And when it does, it's usually very surface. It's usually very surface. It doesn't go deep. And what I want to talk to you about is the fact that there's one thing that is really just holding you back. Okay? One thing that is holding you back on whatever you're looking for, whatever you're going after. I'm actually writing a book about this. There's only one thing that's holding you back. You underestimate, okay, you, me, everyone, underestimate the amount of effort something is going to require. So when we do that, when we underestimate the amount of effort something will require, we will throw the towel. You won't have the sufficient energy, the sufficient commitment, the sufficient anything to make sure that the activity or the goal gets met. And it's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you don't care. It's not any of those reasons. It's because you've underestimated how much something was actually going to take. Every time you underestimate what something is going to take, you automatically drop the activity. This is the single thing that has either pushed me to the right direction or pulled me away from it. I'll give you an example. If you're an artist and you want to do, you want to do a collection of artwork, or you want to sell artwork online, or you want to get a gallery exhibit, whatever it is, you must first understand how much you have to calculate correctly how much effort something is going to need. If that calculation is underestimated, you will continue to lose and continue to scratch your head and ask yourself what the hell is going on. And the calculation of the effort cannot just be, oh yeah, I'm gonna need 10 paintings for an art exhibit, so I'm gonna make one painting. I'm gonna need 10 paintings, and I'm gonna try to make one painting a day. That's great. But how many hours does it take you to make one painting? It might take you 3 hours, 5 hours, a whole day, a week. I don't know. Let's say that it takes you 5 hours to make a painting, right? For the sake of the example here. Then you know that you cannot. If you're trying to get this thing done, you know that you cannot skip a beat on this. You know that you need 5 hours. 5 hours for 10 days in a row. Now, this is why, guys. This is why people drop it, because we underestimate. We're like, oh yeah, I can make a painting, but then life gets you. Life shows up, or you were busy, or you fell off the wagon, which is what normally most people do. We're like, yeah, I'm gonna get on this goal, but then we fall off, and almost everybody falls off. almost everybody. This is why coaches are so important, because it's the accountability that when you get a coach, or you get a person to coach you or anything like that, what you're really doing is you're buying accountability. You're buying, when you go to the gym, it's not that you don't know what to do. Everybody knows what to do. You go to a gym, you don't have to start with the weights or anything like that. You can just start, get on the treadmill for, I don't know, an hour. You don't need a coach for that. The coach is so that you have accountability. So you have someone pushing you and reminding you. And if you don't show up, then the coach is calling you and asking you, hey, where are you at? And if it's the more expensive the coach, that person's going to go and knock on your door and get you out to start running. The more expensive, the more accountable, the more accountability they will execute, they will show. The less expensive, well, they don't care. They just tell you, oh, we're going to do A, B, and C. And if you don't do it, well, you lost your money. And that's like the bottom level of coaching and accountability. The high level, at the highest levels, they're probably, I don't know, anywhere between $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month. Depending, right? And at the highest levels, they basically live with you to make sure that you get the shit done. They're calling you all day, they visit you, they track you, because where most people drop everything is in the lack of accountability, right? Because you underestimated how much something was going to take. You underestimate how much effort you're gonna need to put into getting a gallery show. You're going to drop it. How's it going, Red Gypsy? Good morning. You're going to say this shit doesn't work. It's too much. I thought it was going to be less work than this. Nobody told me this shit was going to be hard. I thought it was going to be less work. I thought it was going to require less of me. It requires so much more. And the reason why is because in anything you do, it doesn't matter what you do. Whether you're an artist, you're a real estate agent, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. It will always require a lot more than what you're thinking is going to require. It's going to require a lot more materials for your artwork, a lot more canvases, a lot more time, a lot more energy. It will require a lot more than what you're imagining is going to require. And this is why people throw the towel and say, you know what, screw this. This doesn't make any sense. I don't think that this is for me. It's not that it's not for you. It's that you didn't calculate correctly. You didn't calculate correctly how much it was actually going to take. And when you don't do that, when you don't calculate, what happens is that you lose hope. You start losing hope. Things make no sense anymore. Your certainty goes down. You're believing yourself. You're even going to start looking at your artwork like it's not good enough, like it's ugly, like there's something wrong with it. Even though you might have been doing artwork for the past 20 years, you're going to start scratching your head and asking yourself, well, what am I doing wrong? And I promise you, the only thing you're doing wrong is that you're not putting enough effort in it. That is the only thing. There's only one thing that everybody's doing wrong. Every single person, whether you're an artist or not, there's only one thing that you're doing wrong. You're not putting enough effort into it. You're not doing enough of it. That is the only thing. There's not enough effort into it. So you're going to start scratching your head and start asking yourself, is it my art style? What is it? Yeah. Inktober. I like that. Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge, like people that do Inktober. It's very true. Like, Inktober is, for those of you who don't know, I think for the whole month of October, people are doing ink paintings or drawings or anything to do with ink every day, right? They have to do a piece every day, I think, or some people take the challenge to do 2-3 pieces a day or whatever, right? And that, I mean, that certainly helps. It keeps you in the game, right? It keeps you in the game. It keeps you in the studio. It keeps you moving. But I want to take it a little further than that. Okay, that's really nice, and that's definitely a challenge. But I want to take it further than that. For those of you who are asking yourselves, man, I sell paintings from time to time, or I show paintings from time to time, and it's not working. Look, guys, it's not going to work if you put 30 minutes a day every day. Even if you're doing Inktober, even if you're doing 1 hour a day every day, it's not going to work, guys. It's just not. Not if you're trying to do this deal as a career or a business. Okay, there's no way. You need hours of it in there. You need hours of it, and it doesn't mean that you need hours in the studio walking around doing research on the computer, learning new techniques. I don't know. Studying composition and color theory. That's not what I'm talking about. That's other time. That's for something else. That's your personal time. No, I'm talking about you need hours in the creation of something, in the actual creation of something. You're either creating artwork or you're creating content, to share online. You're creating something, and it has to be hours, and you have to move. You can't get stuck. What I mean by this is that you can't be like, oh, I'm going to work on this painting and start agonizing on the painting. Start agonizing about the colors and the size and whether you use a brush or a palette knife and all of that bullshit. Use your finger if you want to, but get it done. Get it done and move on to the next thing. Because it's going to take hours. There's a lot of pumping that needs to happen. Think about it, in anything in life, there's a lot of pumping that needs to happen. No pumping, no reward. There's a lot of push, a lot of pumping in order for anything to happen. And we go into these things, such as an art career, an art business, or any of these things. We go into these things thinking that it's easier than it is. We go into these things imagining that it's going to take less time, less materials, less effort. Or here's something else. You calculate, right, how much you're actually going to need, and then you fail at it. Why? Because there's some people that are very smart. There's some people that are like, no, you know what? I actually calculated how much I was going to need. How much time, how much materials, how many things. I promise you, you're going to fail at it. I know this is a little prophecy. I'm being prophetic here. You're going to fail at it if you found the right number and you went after that number. If you think that it's going to take, I don't know, 10 people that you talk to every day in order to try to sell one painting, you're off that number. It's probably going to take about 100 people. If you do your calculations and you're like, man, if I sell one painting a day at this price, this is how I'm going to make a living, and on and on and on. And you're thinking about, if I show my artwork to 100 people and I talk to 10 people a day, I'm going to make sure to sell one painting. I promise you, it's more like you have to show your artwork to 1,000 people, okay? And talk to 100 to sell one. You're underestimating, guys. It's the calculation is off, and this is why I see artists left and right drop the towel. Just throw the towel. I see it. And then they start asking themselves this question, how come this is not working for me? Is it my style? Is it the painting technique? Is it the market? What is it? They're continuing to ask themselves. And it's none of the above. It's not your style, it's not your painting technique, it's not the market, it's none of that. I mean, you do know how to do something, right? You do know how to. You have to have some sort of skill. Some people ask that question too. They're like, "Is it the way that I paint?" No, it's not the way that you paint. It's that you haven't learned how to paint yet. Like you haven't owned your skill. It doesn't matter if it's abstract or expressionist or I don't know, surrealist or hyper realistic. It doesn't matter any of that. What matters is that you dial in enough practice in any given style, and then get out of your own way. And then you have to get out of here. That's the hardest part. Getting out of your own way. So, for those artists out there who are trying to get to the next level, you tell yourself, man, I'm ready to go to the next level. I actually want to drop my job in order to be a full-time artist. I just don't know how to do it. Keep your job, please. I know that it's not romantic and it's not something that other people say. There's a lot of artists out there who are like, here's how you drop your job in order to go into a full-time artist, making a living as a full-time artist. Don't believe those people, guys. Keep your job. Keep your job until you absolutely feel you don't need it anymore. Being an artist is going to require everything. Being anything, it's going to require everything, guys. It's going to require that you show up like you've never shown up before. Being a full-time artist is going to require every single ounce of you. No bullshit. No drama. The moment you start having drama, your sales are going to start plummeting down. You have to keep a clear head. You have to keep positive. You have to stay extremely productive. And this is what most people out there don't tell you. Most people tell you, oh no, don't worry. All you have to do is have great ideas, paint really well, and then you're on easy street. That is not true, guys. That's not how this works. That is not how this works, guys. So, man, I wish I could say other stuff, right? That was easier, that would make people be like, well, how can I make this easier? The reality is that it is easy. It is easy. It is simple. But what makes it hard is that we keep standing in our way. We keep being in our way. And that makes the whole experience very difficult. For example, if you know that all you have to do is go knock on some doors of some galleries, and you estimate, and you're like, well, it's going to take me knocking on heaven's door. I had to say it. It's going to take me knocking on I don't know. You estimate that it'll take you visiting 5 galleries to get one show, right? And you're like, if I just visit 5 galleries, I'll get one show. If that's your estimation, right? I would say to you, visit 50. Don't visit 5. Like go beyond, stretch yourself beyond what you think is necessary. Because the human beings have this thing in our minds that we underestimate everything. When we get excited, we don't calculate properly. We do. I don't know why. I have no idea why it's in our system that we underestimate everything and we calculate completely wrong. We just don't calculate correctly. And I see this with businesses. I see this with artists. I coach artists. I do one-on-one coaching with artists. I don't like doing group coaching because everybody's in a different place, and I don't really like doing that because then it just turns into this I'm doing better, I'm not doing so great, and it becomes like this opinion-based throwing back and forth, and I don't like that jam so much. Maybe I don't know how to handle it. I don't really like it. I like doing coaching one-on-one, so I don't do masterminds or shit like that. I don't like that model. Maybe if I learn how to do it later on, I'll start doing it. I don't know, those webinars where you have masterminds and shit like that. It's not really my gig. I like to concentrate all my efforts in one person. But overly optimistic, yeah, and we do tend to do that. We do tend to be overly optimistic, and we become we don't think of environment. I think this is the problem. We don't think of environment. Our estimations are based on I don't know if you guys remember this commercials from Walgreens about Perfect, in a land that it was called Perfect. There were some commercials some years ago at Walgreens, the pharmacy store, used to make these commercials. Imperfect, blah blah blah. They used to make the fun of this place, this utopian place, right? That was perfect. And they're like, okay, well, since our world is not perfect, we got Walgreens, right? Sort of to make that foil, right, of two worlds. I feel like it's the same thing with artists today. We are overly optimistic, and we don't judge the environment that we live in. You know how the JC said, "Don't judge people." The great JC is like, "Don't judge people." I would say, no, but judge the environment. Okay, judge the environment. Look at the environment and see how it's going to benefit you or affect you. Look at the environment. The environment means so much. If you're gonna go on a hike, and the hike is going to be 5 days. You're gonna go on a 5-day hike. You have to think about not just what you're gonna need, but you also have to think about the environment, right? Is there mountain lions where you're gonna be? Is it going to be freezing? Is that a place that freezes up? Is that a place that is, is there some is water difficult to get? Will you get dizzy, if you're not used to it? And on and on. Is it too steep? If it's too steep, you're not trained for it. If it's not like a walk, if it's going to be more like a climb, the environment, right? Those are the things that you need to take into consideration. And as artists, we don't do that. We're like, oh yeah, the marketplace, dude. It's like running a fucking Ironman. For those of you who have run an Ironman, I haven't, but I've seen the people that do it. I'm like, dude, you prepare for that. You prepare for that. You have to go after it as if it's going to be an Ironman. And you're like a person like me sitting on a couch eating Cheetos, watching TV, and you have to prepare for that. I don't sit on the couch and eat Cheetos, but I would if I could.
I do.
I do. I would if I could. You have to prepare for that. Yeah, it's an unrealistic estimation of what is going to be necessary. And the reason why it's unrealistic is because you've never done it. See, this is the thing, guys. This is the thing. And I really believe that the reason why this is because we are not humble enough. We haven't had enough humble pie in life. How dare we, okay? How dare we think that we understand what something is going to take if we've never done it before? Even if you've done it, you can forget how much something is actually going to take. I've been guilty of that. Even if you've done it, you can easily forget how much something is going to take if you haven't done it in a while. You can easily forget. If you haven't done it in months, you're definitely going to forget about how much it actually, your body forgets. Your system forgets. You know, instead of putting 12 hours a day working in your studio, if you start putting, 7, 8, 6 hours, before you know, you start putting 4 hours, and then you're like, well, how come this is not working? Dude, you stop putting 12 hours. You stop putting 12 hours. But you forgot, and your system forgets. Your personal system, your environment, your attitude, your fortitude, your even your hands forget. Those of you who are artists will understand what I'm trying to say here. What even your hands will forget. You go and tackle a painting and you're like, man, I can't seem to be inspired. I can't seem to do things right. You know why? Because you haven't put in time to them, and they forget. It's a flywheel. If you stop spinning it, it will forget what it needs to do. You drop momentum and you will forget. I know this has happened to me. I've been painting for over 20 years, and there has been times in my life when I feel like a complete amateur. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I don't even know how to paint. I feel like I have a hard time holding the brush. You know why? Because fear and all kinds of things are playing into it. And it's like I forgot what to do. Like I'm all confused. And in those moments, what you need to do? You need to put in as many hours as you can in a single day. As many hours. I would even suggest stop all other activity and just dive in, and all you do all day is paint. Slowly. You don't have to go fast. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to be desperate. Just use a good 16 hours and just go into it and just paint. Draw, paint, one artwork after another. Do it for about 16 hours, and then boom, baby, inspiration just comes knocking right out your door and says, please let me in. But it's because your system forgets. There's a system that you're playing, especially when you have momentum. Okay? And you forget it. I know this happens to musicians too. I used to be a musician. I used to be a guitarist, and it's the same thing. You stop practicing the amount. You continue to practice every day, but if you stop putting the amount of time that you were putting when you were winning, you will start being disappointed and discouraged. If when you're winning, you're putting 10 hours a day, let's say that you're playing at the highest level, right? And you're putting 10 hours a day of practice as a musician. Maybe you, I don't know. You're a badass, right? You're putting 10 hours a day. You record something, that's some practice. You practice with a band, and then you go perform, and all together it's about 10 hours every day. The months, if life changes, the months that you start putting in 2-3 hours a day, you're going to start feeling rusty. You're even going to start feeling like your inspiration is just kind of slipping off, and you don't know what's going on. And other people are going to look at you and they're going to say, oh my God, you're so great. But you're not hitting your potential anymore. You know in your heart that you're not hitting your potential. You know why? Because your practice is off. The amount of time that you were putting in is off. When you were winning, you were all in. When you were winning, you were all in. I'm sharing with you guys some of the stuff that it seems obvious, but unless you've walked the walk, unless you've done this, you have no clue. You have no clue what I'm talking about. And it's going to seem obvious, and you might just brush it off and be like, But if you're an artist, I promise you, if you're not putting in the time and you don't estimate correctly, you're going to throw the towel. And you're going to start scratching your head and ask yourself all kinds of questions and come up with the most intensively, I think that's a word, elaborate excuses. Your excuses are going to be so well put together because the mind is going to try to make sense. Your mind is going to rush as fast as it can to make sense as to why things aren't working. Oh my God, it's the president. Oh my God, it's the economy. Oh my God, and you're gonna rush and try to make sense. You're gonna make sense. You're gonna try to make sense. Oh, it's the art world. Yeah, it's the art world. Oh no, it's because you're gonna start making sense of all of this stuff. And the only reason, guys, the only reason you're gonna start making sense is because you're lost. You didn't underestimate correctly. You know, you went to a gunfight and you didn't even take a knife. You took a stick. You took a rock, not even a knife. You took a rock to a gunfight. And you're confused and you're making sense of it. So I'll leave you guys with that. I hope that you guys found some valuable information in this early talk. These are my hammer times. This is when I talk to you guys about, hey, you know what? This is the thing. This is what's going on. This is the thing that's plugging your flow. Okay? Remove it and go all in. You deserve it. Every artist, regardless, every person, regardless of what you do, whether you take photographs or you are a painter or a sculptor, you have it in you. You're getting in your own way. That's all. You have it in you. You can do this. It's available. I know it's available because it's what has been available to me. And I'm not that special, guys. I just put in the work. You know, I just put in the work, that's all. You start putting in the work, people are going to start telling you, oh my God, you're a genius. Oh, you're so great. Oh my God, how do you come up with all these ideas? All you have to do is put in the work. Oh, the rest of the things, they fall into place. Only if you put in the sufficient calculation of work. Okay? I've talked about this with people that do, personal training, or all those beautiful people on Instagram, and people are like, oh my God, how do they get this rock solid abs? Dude, those people do like 3 hours of sit-ups a day. They go for like a 2-3 hour run every day. They invest a good 6-7 hours into their bodies every day in different ways. Those people are all in that. That's why they look the way they do. It's not because they bought a little machine and they're doing a 10-minute exercise every day. They don't look like Greek gods because they put in 10 minutes a day, guys. They look like that because they make that their life. They're constantly checking their calories. They're constantly checking what they eat. They're constantly, do they binge every now and then? Yeah, but because they can. There's days that I don't feel like painting and I don't do anything and I just kind of kick back and I relax and I hang out with my family. I don't have to paint. I don't have to think about artwork. But because 90% of the time I am, so I'm able to do that. I'm able to unplug and do other things in life, that have nothing to do with being an artist. So, all right, guys, peace. I'm glad it helps. Red Gypsy. I'm glad it helps, and I hope that you guys take some action with it. All right. I'm probably the only artist, guys. I don't know of any other artist. I'm probably the only artist. Whoops, sorry about that. That talks about this kind of stuff. You know why? It's because I got tired of looking at all these artists on YouTube, on Instagram, just saying bullshit. I'd rather be boring, because some people think I'm boring. Some people are like, make this video shorter, entertain me more, because online is all about entertainment. But I'd rather take the extra step, go the extra mile, and give some real value and give some stuff that I wish somebody would have told me. I wish somebody would have told me. I wish somebody would have told me, look, hey, making a living as an artist, getting a professional you hitting a professional income, something over 6 figures or 7 figures, getting paid that takes this, right? Takes this amount of work. I wish somebody would have told me that, so that I would have calculated it even better, right? But most people don't calculate it correctly. And the vast majority of people don't, because most people don't know. So, peace, guys. And if you guys are interested in coaching one-on-one, I do coaching with artists, and the coaching is $300 an hour, guys. For those of you who are like, dude, I need some help. But here's the thing. For those of you who want coaching, I don't know if I can help you. Like, I need some humble pie, right? I don't know if I'm going to be able to help you, and in order to determine whether I can help you or not, what I'm doing is that I'm giving 15 free minutes, a phone call, you know. So if you're interested, DM me and with your number, and we'll set something up. I'll give you my number, my cell number. We'll set something up, and we'll do a phone call for just 15 minutes in order to determine if I can help you, or if you are ready for the next steps. One of the things that I've done with people that I've called is that in those 15 minutes, I've determined that they don't really need to spend $300. You know, sometimes I just give them a strategy in those 15 minutes, and I'm like, really, you are in the very starting point. You know, in the very starting stages, and I just give them a strategy to get started. I've done this with a lot of people. Just give them a strategy to get started. Just a simple strategy, right? Something that works. It's not something that I made up or I imagined. It's something that works, that it's proven, that I've done. And get them started with that so that they can actually start generating some income. You know, so that they can actually start moving it towards that direction. And a lot of those people come back to me now. A lot of those people come back to me, and now they've generated some income, and now they want to do some coaching, right? Like 1 hour sessions of coaching in order to move higher up. So I'll leave you guys with that. My name is Jose Trujillo. Take care. Peace.